Hey everybody, how are you today? Good? Great. We're going to start today by reading this book. But before we get started, let's get our thinking sheet ready. Okay? Remember, you're going to need paper and your um, something to write with. Pencil, pen, either will be fine. Now, let's get started. So, to begin with, as usual, draw a line in the middle. Draw a line through the middle. Let's go ahead and write our numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Great. Let's go ahead and do our circles. Today, I want you to try something different. Whenever I ask you to tell me what you're thinking about, I will be asking you to write something on these circles. I'm going to be stopping at certain points in the book and just saying, write down what you're thinking right now. Okay? That way, it's not going to be a question of mine, but we're moving into you adding your thoughts as we read. That way, you're developing those thinking skills that I want you to develop. As strong readers, you are always thinking about what you're reading, you're always questioning what you're reading. So that way, you become more aware of everything you're reading as you grow in your reading skills. So go ahead and get this set. Don't forget to write the date. Today is 12 16 2020. All right, let's get started. Okay. Do you ever wonder about math, or light, or time, or the world? Well, you might become a scientist. Um, the subject of this biography is a great scientist and mathematician called Albert Einstein. I'm sure you've heard of him, or have you? He is considered one of the smartest people who ever lived. But when he was young, his parents and teachers worried that maybe, he seemed different than other boys his age. Um, he liked to be alone and he had very few friends. People thought that he was a little odd, which is where the title of this book comes from. Whenever someone says the odd man out, means someone who doesn't quite fit in. In this case, it's the odd boy out. So he doesn't quite fit in as he's growing up. Let's read a little bit about him, and let's learn more about his life. Odd Boy Out, Young Albert Einstein, by Don Brown. On a sunny, cold Friday in the old city of Ulm, Germany, a baby named Albert Einstein is born. It is March 14, 1879. That is a long time ago, guys. The joy his family has for the new birth is brief. His grandmother cries, "Much too fat, much too fat," and his mother fears his head is too big. Be patient, and all will be well, the doctor insists. And he is right, although in the back of Albert's head, he will always appear. I'm sorry. Although the back of Albert's hair always will always appear somehow swollen. Albert grows, and soon it is time for him to coo and babble and make cute words. But he says nothing. His family frets and waits and frets and waits and frets and waits. Is Albert well? They wonder. Finally, he talks, and when he does, he can be clever and sharp. When he's nearly 3, his parents promise Albert a surprise. He expects a toy. When instead they present him with a baby sister, he says, "Where are the wheels?" Interesting. So, yes, Albert seems unusual already, don't you think? What were some of the things that worried his family? Go ahead and write that in box number 1. What were some of the things that that worried his family. Let's start with this. And remember, write down your complete sentences. When I write these words, this is the beginning of a sentence. I want to make sure that you are writing in complete sentences. His family was worried because, and you tell me why was his family worried? Why was Albert's family worried? Go ahead and write that here. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause it. Remember, write down a complete sentence. Okay, let's keep reading. Albert is sometimes cruel to his sister, Maja. He nearly hits her with a hard ball and strikes her head with a hoe. Later, Maja would say that one needed a sound skull to be Albert's sister. Poor Maja. Let me lower this a little more. So there. Poor Maja is not the only object of Albert's anger. Many times when he is displeased, his face pales, his nose goes white, and a nasty tantrum follows. His temper so terrifies a tutor hired to help young Albert prepare for school that she runs away, never to be seen again. Wow, must be quite a tantrum. But Albert isn't all anger and brooding. To things he enjoys, he brings a single minded attention. Houses of cards captivate him, and he builds one 14 stories high. Wow, look at that. It's pretty awesome. A simple compass, a gift from his father, astonishes Albert. He turns it, tilts it, tips it, and yet the gadget's needle always points north. What hidden thing makes this work? He wonders. Okay, so let's let's take a moment and get our thinking sheet, and I want you to tell me, how do you oh, tell me, what are you thinking about Albert so far? What do you think about Albert so far? Go ahead and write that in your circle. Remember, writing a complete sentence. What do you think about Albert so far? Okay, let's keep reading. A single compass. He was fascinated by this. He was fascinated by the idea of something so simple yet so complex. Hmm, interesting, isn't it? Now, let's see what happens next. He's definitely on the thinking side of things. The Einsteins moved to a large city of Munich. There, Albert's parents encouraged his independence and take the unusual step of allowing a 4-year-old, Albert, to wander the streets unattended. Wow, interesting. They let the 4-year-old just walk on the streets, no one watching him. They wanted him to be independent. Nowadays, you can't do that. He starts school. Among his classmates, he is an odd boy. The others love to play ball. Albert does not like sports. That's him right here. He does not like sports, which is fine. You don't have to like sports. Soldiers on parade excite the boys. Look, they're all excited. They disturb Albert. Disturb means to give him an uneasy feeling. That I don't know about things type of feel. Again, Albert on the side. Interesting. Okay, so the author says Albert is odd because he doesn't like the same things as other kids his age. Let's look at the illustrations from pages 11 through 14. Let's look at these illustrations. Look, they're playing. There he is back there. Parade. There he is back there. What do you notice about how the illustrator, Don Brown, shows Albert in these pictures? I'll ask you again. What do you notice about how the illustrator, Don Brown, shows Albert in these pictures? Get your thinking sheet. And what I want you to tell me is, let's rephrase that question. Let's say the question basically says, why do you think the illustrator drew Albert like this, away from everybody, in the distance? I want you to write that on box number 2. I think the illustrator drew Albert like that because you tell me why. Go ahead and write that in a complete sentence. So you copy this and then you tell me why do you think he drew him like that. Pause the video so you can do that and then continue the video. Okay. And Albert is Jewish, the, the only one of all the students. Some of his classmates taunt him and insult him for it. Young Albert does well in school, well, at least the subjects that he likes, and ignores the others. He likes math, not so Latin or Greek. That would be kind of like saying now that someone likes math, but not so much reading. When questioned in class, Albert lingers, takes a long time over his responses, frustrating his teachers, who prefer quick, snappy answers. And afterward, the teachers see his lips move as he quietly repeats the answer to himself. Is Albert dull-witted? The teachers wonder. Nevertheless, he earns good grades. At home, he practices the violin, especially the music of Mozart. No tutor is necessary to keep Albert to this task. I believe that love of a subject is a better teacher than a sense of duty, at least for me. He said later. When Albert is 12, his parents invite a medical student named Max Talmud to their home, and he and Albert become friends. A rare thing for Albert, who later described himself as having the sense of being a stranger with a need of solitude. Max gives young Albert a geometry book, the exact world of shapes, lines, points, and angles, in a, wo- in a one, and wonder work to him. It's a wonder work to him. After a short time, a few months, he had worked through the whole book. Max later said, he thereupon devoted himself to higher mathematics. Soon the flight of his mathematical genius was so high that I could no longer follow. So it seems that he was captivated by math, geometry, numbers, lines, and thinking all the time. That's what Albert did. Think, think, think all the time. But he only thought about things he liked or he cared for. Other things he ignored. Unlike the charms of math, other schoolwork bores Albert. Gee, we just said that. The mindless and mechanical method of teaching caused me great difficulty, he said. I would rather let all kinds of punishment descend upon me than learn to rattle something off by heart. His disinterest in schoolwork and distant manner irked some of his teachers. They didn't like that he didn't care. One tells Albert he would never get anywhere in life. Wow, one teacher tells Albert that he would never get anywhere in life. Albert ignores the teacher's prediction and occupies himself with music and math. He molds puzzlements of his own invention. What would it be like to ride a light beam? He wonders. What would what would the world appear the same if you raced at at the phenomenal speed of light? He wondered. Hmm. Here's a thought on circle number 3. I mean number 2. I want you to tell me, what do you think about when the teacher said you'll never get anywhere in life? What do you think about that? What does that make you think of? Go ahead and write it in circle number two. Okay. When Albert's about 15, his father's business takes the family to Milan, Italy. But before Albert can leave Germany, the law says that he must serve in the military. So he's left behind to first complete high school and then the army. Albert moves into a boarding house. That means he was by himself. His mood turns black. Albert is miserable at school and longs for the comfort of his family. His happiness and health sink. To recover, he's given special permission to quit school and join the others in Italy. That is interesting. He was left alone and he felt bad. He got sick, his health declined so bad that they said, hey, he needs to go back to his family. And they let him. Life is sunny there. Albert has his family, museums to visit, and of course, his private study of math. For this, Albert can push everything else from his thoughts, much as he did when he built houses of cards, even at parties. Albert unravels naughty math problems, unaware of guests, the talk, and the music. Look, everything's happening, and he's here focused on his math work, on his work, on his thoughts. Interesting. Interesting. Have you ever been so focused on one thing that you really enjoy doing that you forget about anything else that's happening? Let's make a connection. Tell me a time that you were so focused on something you enjoyed that you didn't care about what was going on around you. Tell me that in word number three. Pause the video if you need to. Again, the question is tell me about a time that you were so focused on something you enjoyed that you didn't care about anything else going on around you. Okay, let's go to the next page. Okay, so he tries to enroll in Zurich Polytechnic. It's a college in Switzerland, but unprepared in the school subjects he has neglected, Albert fails the entrance test. So basically, since he didn't pay attention in school for so many things, he's not ready for that test. So he spends the next year earning his high school diploma and then enters Polytechnic and trains to be a scientist. Young Albert graduates and tries to find work teaching at a university, but no job appears. Wow. In 1902, he takes the position of Expert 3 class at the Swiss Patent Office, a kind of government library for new inventions. Albert marries and becomes a father. The duties of family and work do not stop him from puzzling and wondering about math, about light, time, the world, the universe. Sometimes he pushes his baby son carriage through the streets of Zurich, like night like a night sky filled with stars. Albert's mind is bright with glowing ideas. And as stars are joined into images called constellations, Albert's ideas make a picture of space and time and energy and matter that no one has ever seen before. Let's go ahead and circle number three. I want you to tell me, what do you think of Albert so far? Remember, write it in a complete sentence. Okay? Look, he's always thinking. He's pushing the baby, but his mind is here. Albert says that light is made up of tiny bits of energy called photons that behave like a spray of water from a hose. He says that everything is in motion and when something moves very fast as light, strange things happen, like clocks running slower and objects becoming shorter. Albert says that something as tiny as a grain of sand is the vessel of unimaginable energy. For scientists, Albert discoveries mean the photoelectric effects, theories of relativity, and E equals mc squared. For the rest of us, his ideas mean automatic door openers, television, space travel, and atomic energy. For Albert, his work earns him a great award, the Nobel Prize. He becomes famous, but to him, fame is like a hubbub of his parents' parties, something to be ignored while he enjoys wonders and puzzlements of his own invention. For the world, Einstein comes to mean not a fat baby, or an angry child, or an odd boy, but instead a great thinker. Interesting, interesting. Wow, he did accomplish many things. Interesting. So, here's what I want you. Here's let's talk about this. The message of this the message of this book is basically um, that one person's life can change history. Everyone is different, and the people's differences are what makes them special. Not doing well in some areas doesn't mean you can't succeed in others. Let me say that again. Not doing well in some areas, it doesn't mean you can't succeed in others. Some people take a while to figure out what they're good at. It takes some time. What matters is that we keep trying and that we don't give up in the things we like. That way, you can find where you fit. Now, let's see. Let's go ahead and stop this. And I want you to tell me on the last circle, in the last circle, I want you to tell me, what did you learn about Albert Einstein? What did you learn in the about Albert Einstein? I want you to write that in circle number 4. And I know we did not do square number 3. That's okay. We didn't do it today. I mean, box number 4. Once you finish this, remember we're going to be using this information in your Google form. Now, one thing I want to make sure is that you understand is when you put in your information in the form, go ahead and write it in as a complete sentence. I cannot give you full credit if you don't write it in a complete sentence. Because if I ask you a question and you just give me a fragment, it's not a complete answer. And I want you to write in complete sentences. So remember, when every time I write something here, I want you to copy that and finish the thought. If you just give me the thought, it's not a complete sentence. Okay, so I will see you guys soon. Take care, and I hope you enjoyed this book as much as I did. Until then, I will catch you here, there, everywhere, in the pages of books, in the text that we read, in the papers we write. I will see you later.